What's going on, X community? Xlestomp here, and today, people, we're going to be doing the week number 5 Pickems, and of course, joining me as per usual is Galaxybomb.
Hello, everyone.
So, the scores look pretty weird from last week because like you got a few right like at the beginning. And it started out well for you, and then it definitely fell off once you locked on a losing team, and then it lost you a point. But this is insane though. I got 3 points from predicting correctly the 5-0 against Twee, which is insane.
Yeah, that definitely boosted you a lot. I mean, you were already doing well. But yeah, that pulled you ahead quite a distance.
Yeah, I'll have to like lock on a team that loses probably for you to catch up or something.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So let's move on and go to the first battle of the week, which is the the Zoroarks versus the Flygons.
Ooh boy, right off to a fast start. This one is interesting because you have like really fast pivots in Crobat and Persian, which means I feel like this match is gonna have a lot of rotation. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of U-turns everywhere, so it's gonna be interesting to see how the momentum carries between. Now, Flygons do have really reliable hazard setters. And the Zoroarks have girder to remove stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's going to be a big advantage on the Flygon side.
Mm-hmm.
But do the Flygons have any reliable knockoff users? Does Dredagon learn knockoff?
I don't think so. Maybe.
So I'm not sure, but it doesn't look like they have very many, if any. Which means that Scorch, especially, doesn't have too much of a bad time in rocks, and Durant should be okay if they decide to put it on there. Maybe not though, but especially Scorch. That's the main thing. Is that even though they have a lot of rock setters, Scorch isn't really going to be a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then on the slower side, they also have some fairly slow mons. I mean, Slowking, obviously, and Gigalith. So I feel like their team lineups are pretty similar in many ways. Does that make sense?
Yes. The problem that I see, like, we do bring up the hazard removal every time, but the problem is, I mean, it never really comes into play. So I don't know how often it'll really come into play, because they do only have like rocks, and then they have webs on Dollar, but they get rocks, right? And I mean, I don't really see it doing too much. I don't think Scorch is coming personally because double rocker, like double rock types, Charizard's there. It's just, there's a few too many walls here, or a few too many mons that get coverage to hit Scorch. But like, both have sweepers on their team. Like Regidrago has a field day if Clefairy's gone.
That is a big deal that their fairy type is Clefairy of all things.
Okay, look, Clefairy's a good low tier, alright? It's a good low tier. However, if it comes in, it has to pivot out, because as soon as Regidrago comes in, and let's say he hits a dragon move or whatever move, if Clefairy comes in, Galarian Slowking comes in and then just clicks buttons, especially like Future Sight, and then can switch out into, I don't know, whatever, Carbink or something to take on the Umbreon, but it's kind of annoying. Like, Drago and Slowking.
Yeah. This matchup, I feel like the Flygons maybe should have prepared for ahead of time and traded out to get a a slightly better fairy type, because I mean, you know that there's a Regidrago in the draft. You know that a team has it. You should probably expect to prepare for it at some point. So you're pretty much forced to bring Clefairy.
Yeah.
If you don't, they bring in Regidrago and click a button, and what do you do?
Nothing.
So you have to bring Clefairy, which hurts your team's power, generally speaking, unless you're memeing. No offense to Clefairy, it's a Clefairy.
Oh my god, why do you hate on Clefairy so much?
It's a Clefairy.
It's good
I'm
with the
just-
Violet, come on now.
I'm just saying it like it is. And you pretty much have to bring Girder because they have a lot of rock setters. So that's 2 of your 4 Mons already decided for you just based on the matchup alone. And that makes it really hard to build around to kind of when it's I don't know how this or how I'm sorry, I mixed things up. But I'm saying I don't know how the Flygons are gonna win this.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Like they do have a speed, like they have speed here with Crobat and Dugtrio speeding everything, but I don't really think that matters if you can't do enough damage to this team. Like I like a few Mons in this matchup for the Flygons, but Clefairy has to come. Umbreon basically has to come because Future Sight Slowking's really annoying. I mean, it doesn't have to, but what else switches into a Future Sight? Pretty much nothing. Maybe Gigalith, but not really that good here with Swampert and everything. But yeah, so there's like half the team's basically decided right there. I do like Blastoise here. I think Blastoise is nice. It could maybe end up sweeping late game, but it's really tough when there's a Galarian Slowking on the team. So
are you even gonna get to that point?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna give the Zoroarks a 5-0 here. Mostly because I feel like either the Zoroarks are just gonna stomp, or the Flygons might get a close victory. But if the Zoroarks win, I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I'm gonna give it to the Zoroarks as well. I'm going to give them a. I'll give them a 4-0.
Okay.
I forgot that I typed these, so give me a second.
Yeah, you gotta keep track of it.
Alright, I'm gonna switch to the next one, and then you can start talking about it.
Yeah, I can start.
Alright, so...
So, our next matchup is launching Dragapult versus Daddy's Dark types. So this matchup's pretty interesting because, I mean, of course, Ribombee here with the fast sticky webs might be really good, especially given that the Dragapults don't have super fast mons. I mean, they have some nice 90 speeds like Gardevoir, Golbat, and Drapion. They're pretty fast, but the sticky webs could hinder them pretty significantly, like Drapion and Gardevoir especially, which gives like Moltres pretty much a field day. Speaking of Moltres, I think does very well in this matchup. They do have a Barbaracle, which could be a little scary depending on what it's running, and Colossal might give it some trouble. But honestly, I feel like it might be pretty good here. Now they have Shaman, which of course Moltres would be very good against, and they have Berserker, which I also think it just kind of blows through. Machamp also, it doesn't have too much trouble against, I don't believe. It could have a Rock Attack move though, so that's a little something scary to think about.
Yeah.
Also, I was just kind of looking through. Okay, the Drapion could be pretty strong on the Dragapult side because the Poison type, for one, the Steelix is pretty much their only answer to it, as far as I can tell. Could do quite a bit.
Drapion, I mean, yeah, Drapion looks pretty decent here. Knockoff, I was gonna say Roselia, like defensive Roselia. Knockoff is a little annoying, but if it's knocked off, it just synthesizes constantly and it can wall it. But
Even with the Divilite off, it can wall. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. If
I
it's
mean,
because
just a neutral poison attacks from Drapion
Oh.
into Roselia could do quite a lot.
I guess I think without Steelix, it's a little tough here. But I did want to mention because you did bring up Machamp. Machamp, I mean, Machamp just clicks 2 buttons here, and it's Stone Edge and Close Combat or Dynamic
Yeah,
Punch.
it does have no guard. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. So
if
Stone
it's
Edge
no
is
guard,
really
it's-
reliable.
Yeah, it presses Stone Edge and Dynamic Punch with no guard, and I don't see a switch in. You can also run knockoff for the Roselia. Like I don't see a really good switch into either of those moves here.
Yeah, I do like the Dragon Pulse matchup a bit more. I think Moltres can get things done. I think they might be able to pull some kind of Vanillux Arctivist shenanigans because they don't. I mean, Freeze Dry can enter the Quagsire. Of course, Water moves are really good against Colossal. Ice moves hits the Golbat and the Shaman really hard. So that kind of stuff does hurt their team a decent amount. So I'm not really sure. Xatu is pretty nice here though because they do have a decent amount of hazards. You know, Colossal's got his Stealth Rocks and Spikes, so Xatu can bounce them back pretty reliably. And then who's their remover? They've got Golbat for Defog.
Yep.
They have Colossal for Rapid Spin. The Dark types don't have a Ghost type to tank a Rapid Spin, unfortunately, so Colossal can do that pretty safely.
Yeah, Colossal. The problem is though, like, if Arctivish comes, Arctivish like just presses Vicious Rend. Although, I mean, I don't actually see it coming because of Shaman just being there, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, it could. I mean, if it presses a nice move, how well
right.
the Shaman do
Forgot it's
against
also
it.
an ice type. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like Vanillix and Arctivish can actually do quite a bit here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this match is either going to be a really close match or someone's gonna get a crit DDA luck. So
Fair.
I don't know. It's really up in the air for this one. I'm not actually sure what I'm gonna go with yet.
Yeah, this one's definitely a momentum battle. It's whoever has the advantage early on is going to capitalize on it, and it's going to kind of snowball from there.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think DDA has failed me, unless I misremember. So I think I'm going to go with DDA again. Because he's really good at the matches where it's all about snowballing off of momentum. Because, you know, grit.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna give it to DD. I think I like the Moltres, the Vanillix, the Arctivish, even Snorlax a bit more than like Machamp and Drapion here. So, especially with the sticky webs, could hinder their team enough to push things forward. So, I think I'm gonna give it a 3-0 to the Dark types.
3-0. Okay. This is tough because, like, I think Machamp, Barbarical, like Drapion, Shaman, there's so many mons that are nice here on the Dragon Pulse side, but damn, it really is up in the air. I'm gonna give it to the Dragon Pulse to be different here, and I'm going to give them I'll give them a 3-0.
Okay.
All right. I don't. Yeah, no. 3-0. Okay. Alright, next game here. We have the Gibby Gibbles versus the Chicago Shaman. So, I kind of can't wait for this one because I feel like there's gonna be a decent amount of memeage here because Woex switched up his team to basically make it a rain team, but without, because you can't run the rain rock. So, you just
Maybe Ludicolo does Rain Dance and Kingdra could maybe do something. I mean, Ludicolo could
prankster it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Jolteon got Thunder, so that kind of works. The Psychic Terrain might.
Psychic Terrain.
I mean, I could see something happening. It might be. The rain might be less of like a setup type rain and more of just making fire type worse. to help Serena out and Double A too.
Why?
I mean, it's not terrible.
Why though? There's so many of the same types. It's bothering me.
Yeah, you really don't like that, huh?
There's so many
You got
waters
two
and
grass.
grasses.
You got 2 grass types, 3 water types. Yeah.
2 normals.
Oof.
Okay, well.
And they're flying types of Murkrow.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know, Gibbles. I don't know what you're doing over there. But on the Shaman side, even if the rain does come down, I mean, you have Rotom Fan. I think that learns Thunder,
Yeah.
so that's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Cloyster hates rain that much.
No.
I don't think Inteleon hates rain.
Definitely not.
So I don't know how effective Raymond is going to be against the Shamans. I don't think they mind all that much. Their fire type's Quilava. It might not even come here.
Hold on, Quilava has to come this game. Come on now.
Does it?
No, it doesn't.
So yeah, I mean, even Scyther doesn't mind the rain. It makes fire type weaker against it. So like, same with Venusaur. Venusaur doesn't really care all that much.
Dude, weather ball, perfect.
I mean, it's not awful.
In this matchup, it sort of is, but
It's kind of bad.
all right. Well, I feel like we know what we're gonna go with already, but
I'm gonna go with Gibbles.
what are you doing? Okay, all right.
Maybe I don't know. I kind of want to see what happens. I think I'll give them like a 2-0. I think I think they might bring something. It's just like, oh well, they just didn't run rain, and it kind of works. So there you go.
Okay.
I mean, they have like solid Pokemon. Arachnid's perfect. Arachnid and Kingdra are perfectly fine outside of rain. Serena is just a solid all-around Mon. Jolteon's fine, even without just Thunder. Just run Volt Switch, Thunderbolt. So it's not like their Mons are bad without rain. It's just, something to have in the back pocket in case they need it.
I guess that's fair. There's not too many switch-ins to like spamming Thunder, and if rain does happen to be up, Jolteon has Weather Ball, so it can hit the Dugtrio. Like, there are some options on the Gibble side. It's just gonna be hard to pull off without the Damp Rock, but we'll see.
Yep. It'll be a hard matchup, but I'm interested in seeing. They have a very terrain-focused team. They've got Psychic Terrain and Rain Dance to rely on, so they might bring both. They might bring only one. Who knows? We'll see.
Who does know? But I'm gonna give the Shamans I'll give them a 5-0.
Wow, very confident.
I'm pretty confident. I hope Panda can do this. I hope. All right, moving on here. We have the California Q fans versus the Hackensack Strikers. They're on the wrong side, but don't worry about that. So this is a little tough because wait, okay, yeah, I did switch it. Yeah, I'm just making sure that I switched his team because he did make some changes. He got the Cincino now, or Cinchino. He got the Weezing, and he has the Turtonator. So his team looks a little bit better, I would say. I
like this team. I think that the changes are good. I like the overall idea of it. Very aggressive. But more and more, I don't know how consistent a very aggressive team is in draft. The Registeel helps a lot. Same with the Weezing. They do complement the aggression on the team, giving them safe options. Turtonator now as well also helps out with that a lot. Simeon's a very bulky, fast pivot, and can tank any defogs to help out the team. So they have options now that cover their bases, but still kind of push that aggression along. So I like the lineup. I don't know how reliable it might be. So
I could sort of see like a small, like, everyone's sort of going into. Well, no, but they had those ones. I was gonna say it's sort of going into like rain territory because you have the Raichu, which is decent in rain with like surf and thunder. You have the Mantine. You got the Rosary with Weather Ball, and Registeel's good under rain too. It's like a decent amount of stuff, but they had those, so I guess I'm just dumb. But now Twee's team doesn't really mind all that much for these changes. Of course, his fastest Pokemon is base 100, so it's gonna be actually. Chinchino actually just sort of destroys Twee, so he's gotta be careful about that because it now does get the triple axle, so it can hit the Flygon, it can hit the Sigilif, it has Bullet Seed, so it can hit the Sharpedo pretty effectively. So, it's a
I will
Pokemon.
say one funny thing in terms of the numbers is that somehow on the Hack and Sack Strikers side, Registeel has the most kills. Out of all, it has 7 kills.
Yeah.
And that's direct kills. That's not even like passive stuff. So ironically, even though the team looks hyper aggressive, the Registeel is doing a lot of the work, which I find really funny.
Yeah.
And maybe that just goes to show how powerful bulky mons are in draft.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can live a hit or two and reliably like break or get around the wall breaks of the enemy team, you can pretty much stomp over them, and that kind of shows. I mean, they both have the same win-loss ratio right now, though the Q-Fence differential is a bit worse. So in terms of their team's reliability, it's around the same level. But I feel like how do the Q-Fans answer Registeel?
The Q fans answer Registeel. They have Flygon, they have Hitmonlee. Kofag has the Body Press now. So does Avalugg. There's a few things that can answer it.
So I do know a lot of those. Pretty much all of those are physical.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's the main thing. If you don't have a physical and a special answer to Registeel, it makes it really hard, because if it just builds physical, then what do you do?
Yeah, if it goes like Iron Defense Body Press, there's not many answers there.
And I think that's how it got most of its kills.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind, definitely. I feel like the Q-Fence really have to figure out a way to get around that Registeel, or else they'll just go the way of death. And that's why I'm giving it to the Strikers here, because I feel Registeel is dumb. It's so bulky, and Body Press just turns that bulk into power. And the Q-Fans don't. I mean, they have Cofagrigus to tank Body Presses, but even still, I don't know. It gets toxic or something. It just gets whittled down. It's not like it can do too much against it. So I'm gonna give the Strikers a 3-0.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Like, usually you try to wall Registeel with like a bulky water, but both of his waters are weak to fighting, so it doesn't help you at all. And then same thing like with Toxic, like you said. If you run Toxic to beat the Kofag, you run Body Press, Iron Defense, and like Rest or something as heal.
Yeah,
I don't see anything.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah, like, I mean, the Sigilif is 4 times resisting Body Press, and if it runs what's it called, Magic Guard, it won't be able to be affected by Toxic, so that's not bad.
I still think it takes quite a lot of damage, though. It's not a very bulky Pokemon.
If you make it bulky, if you make it able to take 2 like +6 Body Presses, I mean, I'm pretty sure it can, because it's ×4 resisting. But I don't know. I didn't calculate. So, yeah, it's really tough. I'm gonna, since you went out on a limb and gave it to Woax, I'm gonna give it to Twee here. I do think Twee has a chance, if he plays his cards right and is able to knock out that Registeel, and, well, he has to knock out the Chinchino as well because it's so freaking annoying. I'll give him a 2-0.
Sounds good to me.
Alright. Alright. Okay, you go over the next one. There you go. Got it.
Yes. Hello.
Can you go over this one?
Yeah. I'm just evaluating right now.
Oh, yeah.
So, Goblin Forest Marshadows versus the Slurpuffy. This one's interesting. Both of their super fast mons are flying types. You got the Noivern, the Swallow. Cryogonal is pretty good here. It walls Tentacool very well. It walls Metaletta very well. It walls Rotom-Mow really well. It does have some trouble against Incineroar and Rampardos. That's something to keep in mind. Both the Rock and the Fire type are pretty physical. So Cryogonals, the answers to Cryogonal are physical because it's a nice type that makes it pretty hard to. It needs to keep that in mind for sure. Though, do the Marshadows have a good answer to Incineroar and Rampardos in their lineup? I mean, Vaporeon, a physically defensive Vaporeon walls both of them fairly well, I think.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I personally like the Marshadows lineup a bit better, to be honest.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. So, for me, I'm the opposite. I like the Slurpuffy's team a little bit better here in this matchup because, the Phalanx is pretty decent. It has, if it can it actually doesn't even really need a setup. If they could set up spikes and rocks with Fortress or webs with Cutie Fly, maybe, I don't know, and then send in Phalanx on a defog, get that +2 because it's Defiant. If it's banded, there's not many mons that want to come into let's say a close combat. I mean, there's a few, but if you see let's say for instance, I don't know, Alcreamy's on the other side, you just press Ironhead or what have you. So then again,
has the Slurpuffy's brought Phalanx yet?
That's a good question.
I don't believe they have. No, they have not. So I wonder, because I know you last time I think you also mentioned the usefulness of Phalanx in their upcoming matchup. So I wonder if they are confident in its strength or not. Because definitely looking at Phalanx, it does not seem like a very strong Pokemon, generally speaking. It seems a little memey. It doesn't seem reliable in terms of its power. So I wonder if it's coming here. And if it's not coming here, I wonder how they're going to fare personally.
I think they'd be fine without it. I'm just looking over the team now. Stuff like Piloswine is really good here. It hits everything pretty effectively because ground and ice are one of the best types in the game. So because you're able to hit everything if it runs Toxic as well, plus Earthquake and Icicle Crash. You can hit everything, including the Vaporeon with Toxic, of course. And since there's so much beef on this team, having Toxic is really good. So I really like Piloswine in this matchup. Like I said, I like the Fortress because Hazards is really great. And then you just run Incineroar and a bunch of pivot maybe for Swellow and Rotom and stuff to get in that Piloswine. And yeah, I don't see many options to beat down the Piloswine if it has a Violet. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. I'm not entirely certain. It's going to be tough. I don't know. This one's weird. It's I feel like they could both really, really take the advantage and just push that really hard. like a Noivern Boom Burst into like with the throat spray and just kind of blasting through. I mean, does anything wall that? Maybe like an AV Incineroar, but even then I'm not so sure. I don't know.
Yeah, this one is surprisingly even in my head, but I have a decision.
Sure, go for it.
So I think the Slurpuff are gonna win this one. I really like the Piloswine in this matchup. I'm really hoping that they bring Piloswine. If they don't, I mean, I feel like you have to. Like, the matchup looks so free for Piloswine. Just run pivot and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna give the win to Slurpuff, and I'm going to give them. Ooh, I'll go 4-0.
Okay. I think I like the Marshals a bit better. I feel like they have good answers to the Slurpuffiers, and I feel like they have a better setup, personally. So I'm gonna give them I'll give them a 1-0. I think it'll be pretty close.
Okay. Alright, moving on. We have Kyrex Crooks versus the Denver Drowsies. Wow, okay, so looking at this team initially, at least initially, I really like Burger's matchup here. His Aerodactyl outspeeds everything, but I mean that's not everything, I guess. But Aerodactyl also hits all of Kyrex fast mons as well super effectively, pretty much like with Earthquake plus Stone Edge. Honestly, in low tier, Earthquake plus Stone Edge is so hard to switch into.
It's really strong.
Yeah, stuff like, I mean, I do like the Heracross. Heracross is pretty decent on Kyrex side. But with a Comfy, it's super annoying because you get priority Draining Kiss. It's like, what do you do about that?
Yeah, not to mention Comfy has had 11 kills so far this league.
Yeah.
Burger really knows how to use that thing effectively.
Sadly.
So it's really hard to break through. I mean, how do the Crooks answer it? They've got Mawile as their steel type.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
that.
the thing. That's the thing. Like, what? That's not very good. And then like Skuntank
Like,
doesn't resist. So
Talonflame can eat the Giga Drain and the Draining Kiss a decent amount, but it doesn't.
but
I don't like. I don't know.
What does it do back though?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, it might be able to Brave Bird it or something because it's not too physically. Comfy's not too physically defensive.
You can make it
so
physically defensive.
Yeah, that's true. Like, Talonflame could maybe threaten it out, but other than that, like, if Talonflame's chipped, which is pretty easy, if it gets knocked off, it becomes really hard to bring it in against rocks, for instance. And it really doesn't like getting chipped at all. It's a very sensitive typing, that fire flying. So, not to mention, they've got Aerodactyl, so that's really hard to bring a Talonflame against.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Burger, I feel like the Drowsies have a very confident matchup here.
Yeah, I agree. I'm ready if you are.
Yeah, I'll give the Denver Drowsies a 4-0.
Okay. Denver Drowsies a 4-0, and I'm gonna give the Denver Drowsies a 6-0, and I'm gonna lock it.
Oh boy. Okay.
You know what? I have high hopes for Burger. Okay, because his matchup. I mean, it's sort of insane because like nothing comes into a Comfy. I just don't see a way that he can lose this. But don't prove me wrong, okay, Burger? Alright. Moving on here. We got the Auckland Licky Pies versus the Wicked Weaviles. Okay, so I think this is the game that this is one of the games that happened already? Or yes, because yes, we in DMs we looked over the games, and we said what would win what. Like, we predicted off cam before the games happened. So we'll talk about the matchup, and then we'll say what we already predicted.
Yep. So when I looked at this, I saw the Liquid Pies team, I saw the Weavals team, and I'm like, can Salazzle do much here? It's pretty good against Florges. It's like okay against Orbeetle. Not really, because it can tank the Psychic not very well. Maybe it's decent against Chestnut. Like, Salazzle might have some trouble here. I feel like it wouldn't really have the greatest of time coming in, depending on what they bring, personally.
Mm-hmm.
Duraludon's pretty good though, because the Licky Pie's ground type is Rhydon, but they have a Feraligatr and Decidueye.
Mm-hmm.
So Rhydon has a bit of trouble. Plus Pangoro. If that thing gets knocked off by Pangoro, not only is it taking a fuck ton of damage, but Rhydon becomes a lot weaker. So,
yeah.
And Diancie just overall pretty good as well. So that being said, though, I feel like the Licky Pies do have a very nice matchup here. I feel like Absol can do a lot here personally when I look at the Weaviles. I see Knockoff doing a lot to say Decidueye, for instance. It can really mess up some game plans with like a Socks choice item if it's running choice. Lowering a choice scarf Socks speed with a knockoff, depending on what the Weavils are bringing, could mess up some speed trades depending. So, what did you think when you saw these two teams?
So I saw basically, I looked at the team and I was like, all right, Solo, usually super offensive. He clicks buttons. He runs nothing, no defensive items, only Life Orb, Choice Band, or Choice Specs. Sometimes does he run lefties? I don't even know. I don't think so. But yeah, so I looked at, okay, can the Licky Pies defend against full offense? And I looked at it, I'm like, no. Because Feraligatr, if it could set up a Dragon Dance, has some fun clicking a few buttons. Pangoro always clicks like knockoff pretty freely. Diancie can do some work. Vikavolt was pretty nice in this matchup as well. I really liked Solo's matchup, and if he goes full offense like usual, I think he can definitely win this one. So that was my thought process.
Now, I definitely think that's a potential, but I also feel like I don't know. I feel like the Licky Pies can take advantage of that, because I think they know exactly what Solo's gonna do, because he has been pretty consistent in his aggression and create like just full on murder death, etc. I feel like the Licky Pies have the bulk to get around that pretty easily. They got Bronzong, Rhydon, Jellicent, even Chestnut. They're all very bulky and can stop things in their tracks pretty easily. So that's why I gave the Licky Pies a 3-0.
Okay. I gave the Wicked Weaviles a 2-0 because of the hyper offense against bulky, almost like bulky offense. I just think hyper offense beats that most of the time. So yeah, that's why I gave them a 2-0. Did you watch the match yet?
Nope, not yet.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll watch it after this, and yeah. So hopefully we'll see what happens. I'm actually curious because like they're both really good players. It's just like who messes up once. Because if you mess up once against Solo, you lose them on. Alright, so let's move on to the last one, which is the Lake City Lux Rays versus the Exostomp Excadrills. Okay, you help me with this one.
Okay, so the Lake City Lux Rays have a Klefki.
That is
I
true.
think that Klefki is pretty scary, personally. As far as your poison types or steel types are concerned, you've got Escavalier, you've got Gligar, and they're pretty good, but they're not really like Escavalier does a lot of damage, but Escavalier gets like paralyzed or something to make it inconsistent. Ugh, that would suck. And Gligar is ground type, so the power won't really affect it, but it's not super offensive, which means it can't really break Klefki that easily. So I feel like Klefki is going to be pretty scary. Now, of course, you do have Galarian Weezing, which could be pretty good against it, but it's steel type, so
Yeah. Yeah, so you brought up some pretty valid points. Gligar not being that offensive is sort of annoying because if the Klefki is, for instance, I don't know, for instance, offensive could be annoying. I mean, stuff like the Magmortar just sort of clicks fire move in this instance. I'm pretty sure. Altaria, I guess, could be Spadef. Altaria, Spadef, Tyrantrum, or I think I have enough options. I don't see many scary Mons on the Luxray's team, or Mons that I'm afraid of. Then again, you could pull out some weird set. I don't know who this player is. He took over Dinistrio's team, so I'm not exactly sure how they play yet. But stuff like the Linoon, if it belly drums up, could be annoying. I do have Sableye that pretty freely just presses Will-O-Wisp, and can eat any hit from it. So that walls that. The Zoroark could be annoying. I don't have too many walls for it, but yeah, there's a few mons that I could see myself not dealing with too well. But I still think that it do have a solid matchup, and I do think, unless I'm missing something, I do think that I could win this one. So
yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's gonna be tricky because you kind of have to. You're kind of dancing around both the fact that the team is pretty solid because it's Dinistrio's team, but also you don't know how they play. They play the same as Dinistrio if they're gonna mix things up quite a bit.
yeah.
So I think that unknown means that you might have to play a bit more cautiously. And personally, I feel like you play a lot better when you're very confident in what you're doing. When you understand like who you're up against and how they play, and you're able to kind of turn that to your advantage. So I think it's going to be a little scary, and things might look grim sometimes, but I feel like you might be able to pull ahead. So I'm going to give you a 2-0.
Okay. 2-0. That's about what I was gonna guess. Okay. This is tough. I'm gonna give myself, because I don't wanna vote against myself. I'll give myself 1-0. I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Did you want to use a lock on anything before? Because we can go like.
Are we over?
Yeah, this is the last one for majors.
I'll lock on you. I trust
me?
you.
Oh jeez. Now now I'm gonna sack something and lose. Let's go. No. All right. So yeah, that was it. That's all the matches for this week. This is pretty good. I think we're getting to the end of the draft, and so far, there's not many people that are just out of the game, because everyone could get like the last 4 wins, let's say, and pretty much make playoffs. They just need to play well. So everyone play well.
All right.
No. But yeah, you want to end us out here?
Yeah, I mean, you basically said it. We're getting down to some close games. I mean, these are when the numbers really matter. Try and have as much differential as possible, pull through, and try and get into those playoffs.
All right. And we will see you guys in the minors. Peace.